Again, thank you again, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Whitbread. Thanks for the report. It's very interesting and useful. Just a few questions. Only about Qualis initially. I'm concerned that in some areas we might be competing with local businesses. I particularly heard something about accounting services. But I thought if there was going to be a public sector provision of accounting services, that should best be done by HMRC rather than a local authority. But I think that would be overstretching anyway. Secondly, the high streets, we've reduced parking charges, and they're not that expensive anyway, which is just encouraging people to use cars to get into our high streets. Obviously, that's not a good thing either environmentally or for a public health perspective more widely, but I appreciate that it goes down very well with the population, the public. But what incentives have we planned or are we going to introduce for alternatives? For example, working with the county council and local bus operators, maybe on a voucher scheme to provide reduced bus costs, maybe reduced or free bike hire, anything. I don't know the answers. I'm just wondering what we've done to look at alternatives to encourage people not to drive into our town centres while helping to rejuvenate our town centres as well. Just the last thing, the cinema in Epping. Obviously, we all, I hope, believe that our local economy is important. So I'm just hoping and asking if we're doing anything to try and make sure that it's a local cinema or an independent national cinema rather than one of the big multinationals who just shovel our money off to their shareholders rather than keep it in the local economy. They also tend to be cheaper. My local cinema down from where I was brought up in Westgate, the Carlton, does screenings for £5. That's their general price. Obviously, they have to make the money up through refreshments and stuff, but cinemas do that anyway. So can we please see if there's anything we can do to try and make sure that we have a local independent or national independent rather than one of the multinationals as a cinema in Epping? I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Plummer. Councillor Whitbread, do you wish to come back on any of those comments or points?
Thank you very much. Just most importantly, Qualis is a wholly owned company for Epping Forest District Council for the benefit of our residents and to drive the income that we need to protect services in the future and keep a low council tax authority running. It will do a whole range of issues from looking after the maintenance of our council house stock, through to our development projects, through to our commercial projects. So I make no apologies for having a commercial company that's going to drive income for our residents. Regards to alternatives to reducing car parking charges, my first priority at the moment is to protect our high streets and encourage business in our high streets. Of course, we're always looking at different ways to make people act in a more green and friendly way within our high streets. In fact, one of the things I think I've noticed more post-COVID is that people are walking to our high streets much more, which I think is a really good thing. Public transport is more problematic. We know we're going to have to change the way that we use public transport in the future, but I'm all for encouraging people to use various methods to get to our high streets, but I think we just have to be realistic. At the moment, the most important thing is getting people into our high streets and get them shopping again. Regards to the St John's Road site, we want to make sure that we've got an economically viable cinema on the site, whether that be a localised cinema or a national cinema. I want it to be the most economically effective for our district.